Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhavatapa Pranashinne Ananda Ghanamurtaye Jnana Bhakti Pradayinne Matastubhyam Namo Namaha. Jai Ma. Okay, so I told you that Swamiji left his body and I could not go visiting him. So his last darshan I thought I could not have. And I was feeling really bad about it. So next day I had to go to Kankhal, Haridwar. And I went to Haridwar and I settled into my room and all that. And in the afternoon I was feeling a little tired. So I went off to sleep. And over there in the where I stay, there were lots of people there. So I was telling them that Swamiji has gone and I'm feeling so bad about it, that he was such a great saint. And it's very difficult to find people like this, and especially somebody who has guided you so much and he's been there, with me throughout my journey. So it was, yeah. I went off to sleep in the afternoon and I dozed off, kind of thing. Not really sleep, but I dozed off. And at that time, what happened? I suddenly saw Swamiji coming. Yeah. He was in Padmasana and he was floating, like, in the air. So he floated in from, say, my right to left. And he stood in the center like this. And he was with folded hands like this. And he did namaskar and I was just looking at him. And he just sat like that for a few seconds. And then he smiled. And then it was like, if somebody is on a trolley and somebody is just sliding off into the air. It was like that. So from there, in mid-air, he slid off and went away this way, to my left. And as he was leaving, he raised his hand and did this to me. So it's like a farewell, And I got up and I said, oh my God, I was feeling so bad that I could not have his last darshan. And here he comes to say goodbye to me. And when I got up, I just felt so refreshed. I felt very bad that he was gone, yes. But I also felt very happy that he came to meet me, in his final journey. He was gone to Ma, obviously. Swamiji was somebody incredible. His story also, I think his videos are there on YouTube, where I've taken his interview and all that. So he was, I remember once when we were in Bhimpura, how his journey started. He was a lawyer by profession, but he said, I always used to carry a resignation letter in my pocket because right from childhood, he was very interested in spirituality, in mysticism, in meeting different Mahatmas. He would go away to the Himalayas also if he had to, and he would go into all these very remote places in the caves and all that, where he would find all these old, really sadhus, Mahatmas who were doing their tapasya or whatever. He would be able to find them and he would sit for hours on end. So every Saturday, Sunday, he would go off. He would take his little briefcase and go off wherever he had to go. And why the resignation letter in his pocket? Because if anybody in the office objected or said that this Saturday you have to come to work, he would say, here is my resignation letter. I cannot come for work because these are my days and I have to go. So he said, I was always ready to resign the job if anybody stopped me. So he was a lawyer by profession, but he never really practiced because his interest was over here. So that was from his young age that he was, it's always like that from young age. People are very inclined towards all these things. So when he met Ma for the first time, I remember I was taking his interview in Bhimpura when he narrated this incident to me, I was so amazed. I hadn't asked him this question. He was just spontaneously started talking, and he was a very private person. He never wanted to disclose anything. In fact, he used to always tell me, keep quiet, keep quiet. If anything happened to me, he would say, keep quiet, don't tell anyone, But I guess I'm different and I'm talking so much, So he mentioned that he was wandering, in his young age. And then somebody told him about Ma, that have you met Anandamayee Ma? And the first time he tried to meet her, I think in Ahmedabad or Bombay, I don't really remember very well, he could not meet. And then the second time, somebody told him that she's leaving in so-and-so train by so-and-so train to go somewhere, and you run to the to the station and see if you find her in this particular train. So he ran, and I think it was Bombay, I'm not sure again. And he ran over there, was it Bombay or Ahmedabad, something. He ran to the station, and as he entered the platform, the train was already going away, So the last remnant, the last bogie of the train, he could see like it was going away. And suddenly he sees in the window, from the window, a head peeks out like this, and it was Ma. It peeks out like this and looks at him, And just that darshan, that very moment, he was like a stone, piece of statue on that platform, and he describes it so beautifully that he felt that there was like a granite rock that burst on his head, and it cracked on his head, and he was drenched from head to toe as if there was a waterfall, and this whole granite rock just broke on his head, and he was drenched, and he could actually see all the black clouds from within just going this way, coming out of his body, and he was having, like it was like a waterfall on him, and he was getting drenched in that. This was his first experience on seeing Ma. And then I said, then what did you do? Because we all know what that was, you see. That was his first Shakti bath that he got from Ma. He obviously won't mention it that way, but I'm saying. So I said, what did you do? He says, what was there to do? He said, for 6 months, I went away to the Himalayas. And he was in a gufa, in a cave, doing tapasya for 6 months. And he said, I used to live on, he said it was winter and it was summer, and everything was happening over there, and there was no food available. So I said, what did you do? He said, nothing. I would pluck some leaves from trees and all that, and I would just eat things like that. And probably sometimes snow and eat it. And he said, I was least bothered about all those things. So 6 months he did this kind of tapasya. He said if the nails grew, he would rub them on a rock to cut them, because there was no nail cutter or nothing. So he would be scrubbing it on the rock. He said that's how you cut your nails. And 6 months he spent over there like this. So I said, after that, what did you do? He said, I came to Ma then, after 6 months. He came to Ma, meet Ma. I said, did you tell Ma? He said, yes. And she knew everything. And then he said, I just wanted to stay back. He was very he wouldn't go into details, he will just tell you. So he said, then I told Ma that I wanted to stay back, and Ma said, stay back. And since that time, he has been in the ashram. In his later years, after Ma left her body and all that, he was a great saint. Unka to agya chakra khul gaya tha sab kuch, which I, once I remember in Almora ashram, we were sitting, Swami Nirvananji, me, and Bhaskaranandaji was having a walk. So Nirvananji tells me, do you know he's a Chupa Rustam? I said, what do you mean? So he says he won't tell anybody, but everything has opened up and he's there. So I said, oh my God. Because I had met him after 20 years. So, that was the first time I was meeting him after Ma left her body, which was in 82. And this was like almost 95 when I met him. So it was a long gap. So I didn't really know what Bhaskaranandaji was at that time. So when he told me this, I just looked at Swamiji and I said, Swamiji, you are a Chupa Rustam. He says, no, nothing like that. It's because of your wishes, all of you have such good wishes for me that you think that way about me. There's nothing like that. He used to always do this. So he later, in his later years, after Ma left her body and all that, he had a huge following. Huge, it was really big. But he never accepted any gurudom. He never ever said, people used to say Gurudev and they used to bow down and do so many things, but he would say, I'm nobody's guru and I'm not accepting any gurudom. All of you are my friends. Because like I said, in Ma's ashram, there is nothing like Guru Shishya Parampara. It's not like that. So everybody is a disciple, so he never accepted that. And his following was really big, very big. Even today, people look at him as God, almost like that. So there are a lot of little incidents that had occurred also with Swamiji, which two of them I am aware of, because somebody had narrated this to me when I was in Bhimpura, that do you know what had happened? I said, tell me, And when we are so close to Swamiji, one takes him for granted, because he could talk on anything, like, depending on the kind of person who's sitting with him. He would say, oh, today what sabzis did you buy? What vegetables did you buy? What are you cooking? What is happening? Very normal, like how we are all normal, He would have that kind of conversation. So sometimes people did take him for granted, and thought that, okay, he's one of us, But it was really not like that. So what were those incidents that I was narrated, which I will tell you in my next video, not in this one. Thank you. Jai Ma. Om Bhavatab Pranashinne Ananda Ghanamurtaye Jnana Bhakti Pradayinne Matastubhyam Namo Namaha. Jai Ma, Jai Ma, Jai Ma.